You know, the holiday season has just passed us by, and this is a time for making family memories, catching nostalgic moments, and playing with a lot of toys. And I feel like all I've been doing lately is reviewing toy cameras, but now I finally have this, the Fujifilm Instax Mini Evo Cinema, and I feel like this is a mix of not only toy camera, but also nostalgia in a huge way. This is 1 part Instax, 9 part nostalgia, and this is certainly an eye-catching camera. It's got a very cool look to it, very loosely based on the old Fujica single 8 video camera from the 60s. This might just be the ultimate party camera, and it's actually quite versatile because this is 3-in-1. I mean, this takes cinema video, absolutely. It also takes Instax Mini photos, and you can even use it as an Instax Mini printer. So there's actually a surprising amount of depth to this camera that we have to cover. So let's get to it. I'm Chris Niccolls. This is PetaPixel. Let's make some memories.
Hey everyone, it's Jordan Drake here. And yes, some of these video filters are a really powerful way to make people remember past generations, but a really effective way as well is with music that sounds like it's right from the era. And that's why I love working with audio. They have an expansive library of carefully curated music that is made by actual musicians, real living people. And if you want access to this entire library for an entire lifetime, I have a sweet deal for you. Usually this is available for $500, but using our coupon code PetaPixel199, you can get lifetime access to Audio's entire music library for $199. This is an absolutely screaming deal, and you should jump on it because I know Audio is not offering this package very often anymore. So once again, jump over to audio.com, use coupon code PetaPixel199, and thank you so much to Audio for sponsoring this episode. Let's talk about Instax.
I think it goes without saying that the Fujifilm Instax craze has taken over the globe. I mean, Fujifilm is doing really well with these cameras, and some of them are very basic cameras just for taking snapshots. Some give you some more manual control and fun filters. We've reviewed a lot of those over the years, but this is absolutely a new thing, and Fujifilm is absolutely a company that's willing to take risks. Sometimes they pay off, sometimes they don't. I mean, the X-Half was also trying to capture a lot of the nostalgia, and I don't think it was quite there, but now we've got a video camera that works with Instax film. Like, how is this going to happen? I feel like I really got to explain more about what this camera's intended purpose is. And I think the best approach is actually to get the photo part of this out of the way, because honestly, that's the most simple part of this camera, and I think it's actually the part people are going to use the least, frankly, okay? So this takes 5 megapixel photos. It's got a 28mm full frame equivalent field of view lens with an f2 aperture, and you know, it's Instax Mini. The image quality is not going to be amazing, but you can absolutely just take photos with this. You can hold it gangster style to do horizontal stuff, or it is normally a vertical orientation when you hold it like this, and then you can print them out. And this is a Neo camera, and what that means is you actually can take digital photos onto the memory, and then you can choose to print out what you want to print out. And I do like that because it saves you film, it lets you experiment, it lets you, maybe take the shot again, make sure you're happy before you commit to using that expensive film. Now, this camera is designed to connect to your smartphone either through Bluetooth when you're out and about or through Wi-Fi when you're at home. And that means that this can also work as an Instax printer. You can use the Instax Mini Neo app, you can then send photos to it, and you can print them out. So you've got that functionality as well. But the main function of this camera is as a cinema camera, and it does something very unique. So on this, I can record up to 15-second long clips every time that I want to shoot. And then I can build those with the app into 30-second clips if I want to. And then I can even choose frame grabs from that video and print those out onto the Instax Mini printer. But I can also print those out with a QR code. And the interesting thing here is, all the videos that I take here will get uploaded to the Fujifilm servers. If somebody then finds that photo and scans the QR code on there, they can then see or even download that clip for themselves and share in the memories. And if it sounds complicated, it kind of is. I mean, there's a lot to this camera. I'm going to get to it, but primarily the goal is to shoot a lot of fun, nostalgic video clips, these 15-second memories, put them together, share them with friends and family. And the key thing is to use this selector switch here, which goes through all of these decades from 1930 to 2020. In pretty much all the world, these are going to be called but here in North America, we're not allowed to use the word because, well, Fujifilm was worried they might even get some sort of lawsuit or some sort of issue. So we're also not going to be saying the word on camera, I guess. So they call it Gen. Here in North America, these are Gens, generations. So from 1930 to 2020, let's get into the handling, and then I'm going to explain more on how this all comes together. Okay, so the first thing you're going to notice about the Instax Mini Evo Cinema, especially when you have it in hand, is just how high quality it looks. I mean, the fit and finish on everything, the color, the dials, the switches, the metal knurling, like everything feels good. Actually, everything feels premium. Nothing feels like a toy or cheap in any way. The camera itself does have a really cool sort of aesthetic to it, and it is mimicking a classic video camera from bygone, gens. And one thing I will say is, because you got to have the Instax film in here, it's a little bit bulky front to back. So holding on to this grip here, it's wide, okay? And so I'm finding it even uncomfortable with my hands. Larger hands will be good, but for a lot of the target audience for this camera, it's a little bit funny. You're gonna have to adjust your grip. And you've got this shutter button here. This is your trigger for actually taking photos and also for recording video. You can customize this to either hold down while you're recording video, like on a classic camera, or push it once to start and then push it once to stop. And I'm honestly finding this trigger a little bit hard to reach with this thick grip here, so it's a little uncomfortable. The toggle might be easier for a lot of people to use. On the bottom here, it actually comes with this accessory grip for the handle, and I highly recommend this. You know, if you've got even small hands, you're gonna want this to get a good grip on the camera. It just screws on and off there, but if you take it off, you've got a standard 1/4-inch tripod screw. It even has a little indent here so that if you're using a video plate, it's got that so it won't twist on you. Now, as for the camera weight, it's actually just about right. This is 270 grams, although I do have a pack of film loaded in there. I've got the accessory grip on the bottom, so it's just a little bit heavier, but it feels comfortable, doesn't feel too light or too heavy to carry around. Battery, though, is built into the camera. You're not taking that out. It's an internal battery, charges right here in the front. You've got a USB-C port for charging, as well as your slot for micro SD memory. You're gonna want memory. Now, this does have a little bit of built-in memory, but we're talking 50 photos or like 10, 15-second clips. It's basically for, you know, giving this as a gift. You can do something with it on the day, but you're really gonna wanna add extra memory. So micro SD there in the front. In fact, if you're gonna record in the 2020 mode, which is your highest quality video mode, you can't do it to the internal memory at full resolution. You're definitely gonna wanna have additional memory for that. Okay, so let's talk about the side of the camera, because this is where you have the most controls. On-off switch here to turn the camera on. I will say it does take a little while for this camera to start up. That's something you got to consider. I mean, we don't have final firmware in this camera, but overall, I would say the functionality of this camera is kind of slow. Anytime I make changes, going through the menu, there's a little bit of a waiting process. I imagine that final firmware will speed that up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to speed it up a lot. So that is part of the experience of this camera, is just being patient with it. Next to the on-off switch, I've got my selector to go between cine mode or still mode, so I can do that there. And then right below it, I've got an important little button here. This changes the frame. So as I'm recording videos or taking photos, I can actually click through different gen-specific frames or looks, whether this be like a live indicator or frame lines or something. I'll show you more of that later, but that's where I select that. Right below this is really cool. I've got this little knob that I flip out and then push forward. This mimics a classic film winding lever, okay? This is how you'd actually charge up your camera with the spring power to get the film to run. Well, in this case, it doesn't do that, obviously. What it does instead is actually instigate a print out of the top of the camera. So if I find my shot that I like and I want to print it, I actually click this forward. It even makes a little winding noise, and then that will actually print out a photo. It's adorable, okay? This plus and minus switch down here, this actually does the zoom on the camera. I can digitally zoom in tighter from that 28mm full frame field of view if I want to. And honestly, the quality doesn't really go down, because like the quality is already kind of crap. I'm gonna show you that too, but there's my zoom. Last but definitely not least, in fact the most, the meat of this camera is this big selector switch dial, which goes between all of my different decades, okay? From 1930 to 2020, that's how I choose them. And again, there's a bit of a delay in between each one before it's ready to go. Okay, so now let's cover the front and the back of the camera. So on the front here, at the very top, I've got a little LED flash for my stills, so you have that. There's a little selfie mirror here, which you'll see on a lot of other Instax cameras, and an LED indicator. This is also my charging light here, but it's the lens itself that's got a cool dial here. It's knurled really well, and as I rotate this, I actually change the strength of the filter effect that's on the Gen here. I'm gonna talk about that more. What we don't have is any sort of filter thread on this lens, so you're not gonna be adding any sort of tiny peripheral filters or anything like that, although I guess there's nothing stopping you from taping something in the front of that. On the back of the camera here, we've got our playback button here, we've got our menu button here, and then we do have a dial, another wheel here, and this is to go through your menu. It's also a way to change your exposure, but you still have to go into the menu, choose exposure, and then use this to change that, and I do find that to be a little bit slow. If I had any complaint, is just I wish there was some sort of exposure dial or control that would quickly let me change that. And then I've got my back button here to exit out of that. The last thing that we'll see here is the screen that we use to compose with. It's located in a very classic place, but honestly, it's not very high res. It's like 170,000 dots. It's pretty low resolution, so you definitely want to use the accessory magnifying eyepiece that clicks on. That lets you bring the camera up to your eye, and it lets you get a better view. So Jordan, this gross chair over here, what gen do you think that is? 70s? That's a 70s chair. Okay, no, I'm going 70s. Here you go. All right, let's turn up here, and oh yeah. Oh, an old hamster cage thing. That's sad. You know what happened to that hamster? All right, guys, it's time to talk about the most complicated but also most fun part about this camera, and that's all of these decades here. So we're gonna take you on a bit of an tour. Or I guess I'm not allowed to say, okay, so a gen tour, a tour of the generations as we go through. And why this is complicated, as I pointed out, you've got this strength slider here in the front, and this can change things like color tone, saturation, even if the photo's black and white or not, but also it'll affect things like softness. I mean, it's pretty wild. And then on top of that, we have this frame selector, which will give you a period-specific fun little frame, whether it be basic frame lines or a live recording symbol or program mode or DV tape, like all sorts of stuff. On top of that, when you move or shake the camera, it might also give you a period-specific error effect, whether that be skipping frames on the film reel or like a digital DV corruption effect. Like, it's wild. I guess what I'm trying to get at is there's so many different permutations, and we're going to try to give you some examples. Even the audio changes. You know, 1930s, you're going to get 1930s audio with sort of a camera recording motor sounds over top of stuff. It's also important to note that you cannot change the strength or your frames while you're recording, certainly, of course, before you start recording, but you can still zoom. So this is what we're going to do. Jordan is going to shoot a whole bunch of clips of me at every single decade. He's going to shake the camera to start. Then I'm going to give you a famous movie quote from a movie of that time. And you guys can play along at home and see if you can guess what movie that is. And that'll also give you a good idea of what the audio is going to sound like. We're going to have the strength set to a fairly strong setting to give you a good idea of what that look will be like at a more dramatic level. And hopefully it'll give you some good idea. So let's get to it.
It was beauty that killed the beast. Badges? We ain't got no badges. We don't need any badges. We don't need to show you any badges. Hey, Stella! Stella!
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me, aren't you?
You come asking me for a favor on my daughter's wedding day. Ugh, pain don't hurt.
You complete me.
Are you not entertained?
Do not, my friends, be addicted to water. It will take hold of you, and you will resent its absence. I've just had a few small beers. All right, guys, so this is Leopold's Tavern. It's one of our favorite places to hang out. And it's actually going to be a perfect example for the use case of this camera because Leopold's has got some really cool decor and it's mostly inspired by instant film. So we're going to make a little project in there, and then we can give them that instant film. They can scan the QR code, and then they can see the little thing we make anytime. Let's head in.
Hey, it's Chris Niccolls here from PetaPixel, and we're at Leopold's Tavern. It's one of our favorite hangouts, and they always have cool stuff to shoot.
We love these lights. We use them for our lens tests.
You can see how much they love all their customers.
The food is always so good.
Great beer selection.
That's why we keep coming back. We love Leopold's.
Okay, so I think that was a really cool kind of use case in the real world where you can just take these short clips, stick them together into something under 30 seconds using the Instax app, and then print out a shot. You know, they staple it on the wall, and anybody who scans that can then see that video, which is archived on the Fujifilm servers, download it, share it to social media, add their own stuff, and it's a pretty neat thing. Like, I can put those clips together, change the volume levels, you know, edit the length of the clip however I want to do it, mix different gens, and you know, and all that kind of stuff, and even do a cool thumbnail, and even a sort of kind of neat tableau, a frame that you can put on so that anything you share on social media has that cool frame. It's a neat little effect, and I could see this being an awesome tool for obviously weddings, parties, you know, birthday parties, just hanging out with friends and family, but also for travel. It's a cool little digital guest book. You could leave a print on the fridge of the hotel or the hostel or the Airbnb that you're staying at, you know, a thank you note for the people or anything like that. So as long as you just think creatively, there's a lot of potential here. All right, guys, so we've done a lot with this camera because there's a lot to it. We've showed you all the scene modes, and we've done a use case, taken some photos. And so before I want to talk about like who this camera's for, I just kind of talk about my experience and what kind of issues we had and stuff. I mean, look, there is so much depth to this camera that even though I didn't love all the scenes and all the looks, there's something there for everybody. There's a lot of fun stuff here, whether you want to just relive some nostalgia, you know, make some home movie memories that look like you shot them on black and white Super 8 in the 40s or something. I mean, it's all cool, and I think it's all fun, and anybody who's touched it and played with it so far has actually mirrored that same thought. It's a fun camera, and there's a lot of depth there. Photo-wise, again, I don't think many people are going to use this. Although you do get a 5-megapixel shot, this is Instax Mini, and so when you compare a shot with 5-megapixel full photo or just a frame grab out of your cinema, it looks the same. There's no difference. So the only people that might use the still mode are people who maybe want that higher resolution for, I don't know, maybe putting it on a bigger print or something at a later date. Most people, I think, are just going to shoot this as a cinema camera. But look, you know, it hasn't all been fun and games with the video either. I mean, again, some of those scene modes are a little bit strong for my taste. Audio's kind of a problem. The microphones aren't great, and it changes dramatically volume-wise based on what generation you're using. And I wish we could separate, maybe just clean audio or get normal audio rather than always having to have the filtered effect, but so far that's not the case. You know, as well too, the camera does still tend to be quite slow. Not only switching through things, going to playback in menus, but also downloading through Bluetooth to my phone. It's a bit ponderous. So if I'm at the bar and having a few drinks and having a meal and stuff, okay, I can shoot 9 clips and wait in time for it to download. But if I just took some video clips of somebody and wanted to show that to them on the street or give them a print so they could then see that video that I make afterwards, it just takes a little bit of time. It's a bit of a slower process. So yeah, I wish that was faster. I think I would just shoot my clips, go home and do everything at home using Wi-Fi. It's gonna be a little bit faster that way. Hopefully firmware will improve that. And lastly, the battery life's not great. I mean, we chewed through this thing pretty quick. Downloading videos through Bluetooth eats up a lot of power. You know, just going through all the stuff that you can play with does. I mean, we basically drained this battery in half a day of shooting, had to charge it up with an external battery just to finish the episode today. So keep that in mind. And it's an internal battery, which I really hate, because if you forget this camera and leave it uncharged and that battery degrades, what do you do with this thing, right? So I really wish there was an interchangeable battery. I think space was kind of a premium though, so I get it, but I wish that was different. That all being said, I actually really had a ton of fun with this, more fun than I thought. And I really feel like the Mini Evo, even though it says cinema on it, is actually probably the best overall Instax Mini camera you can get from Fujifilm right now. I mean, this thing does everything. It'll print, it'll do stills, it'll do video, and it does it all with a really fun form factor and a lot of cool filter effects that you can just have endless fun with. And the best part of this camera is honestly the price. It's not as expensive as I thought it would be, and considering how many features and how many hours of enjoyment you can get out of this, I think it's actually pretty good value. Hope you guys guys agree, but let us know your comments below. We always appreciate the feedback, and we get to that feedback in the PetaPixel podcast. You can listen to it on this exact same channel or all your favorite podcasting apps. Do also consider supporting us with a PetaPixel.com membership. Look at all the great benefits that you get. It's pretty awesome, and it really helps us do special projects. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you soon with more on PetaPixel.